match very, very seriously as we see the games begin. Magnus Carlsen all smiles.
Magnus looks disgusted already with with the moves there.
Disgusted, happy,
being handed the score sheets.
He's looking around. He's like, where are the commentators? Bring them to me now.
Give them white in the stupid position. Now we see the position after bishop g5. That was actually the big innovation. He played knight g5 earlier, which also looks good. Knight g5 and f4. Queen to d6. Wow. And rook d1. Rook d1, bit of a mistake, because it allowed bishop b6, clearing this a5 square for the knight. So now black can beat d5 with knight to a5, hitting the queen and the bishop. Mistakes were made, but this is where we are. Instead of rook d1, I think white was supposed to go d5, which looks strange, just closing the position and pawn down, but then the black knight didn't have any great squares. But now we can jump to a5.
Yeah, closing the center wasn't really in the vocabulary of Steinitz or Chigorin. And Steinitz is very proud of this queen f6, queen d6 idea. It was his novelty, and he ended up being the only player, essentially, who's ever played it. It's not very good. But see, this is part of what made Steinitz, Wilhelm Steinitz. He was so stubborn. He was stubborn as a person. I'll share some crazy Steinitz stories a little bit later, but stubborn as a chess player, right? If he believed a move was correct, he's going to play it, and this is the position where these players can put their minds to the test. Magnus is the white pieces, and it's already a very, very difficult decision, Jan. You have to decide between knight a3, you have to decide whether you're taking the pawn on e5, that's what Steinitz played. It ain't easy.
No, the problem is now with pawn to d5 doesn't make any sense because the knight jumps to a5. While d takes e5 wins a pawn, it's attacking the queen with the rook on d1 and with the pawn on e5. But it sort of breaks our beautiful center, opens the bishop on b6. The queen would go away, most likely to g6, and Magnus will have to evaluate if it's worth grabbing that, or if he will continue to push for the initiative with a move like knight a3, which, yeah, to my eyes looks like the most normal move. You're covering the c4 bishop to meet knight a5, you're developing a piece, you're hinting at knight b5. Very curious what he's going to choose.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a rapid time control. This is where Magnus would actually prefer to be playing this in a classical game. But here the decision will have to come fast, faster than the players would like, as Hikaru has chosen a move, and it's the very positional bishop to f1. If you showed that move to Mikhail Chigorin, he would have probably, I don't know, yeah, this was like my 15th choice. What about f7? I mean, what about chess principles? But Hikaru clears the c4 square, potentially for the knight. He obviously is trying to take the sting out of the move knight a5. It's an interesting move.
Yeah, very cool, calm, and collected approach, saying, I have the center, if nothing bad happens right now, I don't need to do anything directly, because black is struggling to develop his pieces as well. The question is, can black try to punish him with something direct, like he takes d4, I'm wondering.
Yeah, and queen g6 always lurking as well, but you also could end up losing a piece if white plays d5 and tries to separate the knights. It gets really complicated, and honestly, 15 minutes is very, very little time. I would just take 15 minutes to remember what I had for breakfast that morning. This position is incredibly complex, and I could easily see the players taking 30-45 minutes from both sides in a classical game.
The problem is also, like, modern top players, pattern recognition doesn't kick in here at all because it's so random. Your pawn down, the black queen is on d6. It's not a structure you see every day. And Magnus has played knight to a3, which, yeah, as mentioned, looked like the most natural move from a human perspective. Interesting, both of them refused to go d takes e5, regaining the pawn, which is what Stein is actually playing.
Vishy's now officially down a queen. He parted ways with the lady, and he technically has gotten 2 minor pieces for it, but he's going to resign momentarily on the right side of your screen. Ugh.
Yeah. Bad start for Vishy and Basemami. We should mention 4 players representing 4 continents here. Not sure we often have that. Magnus Carlsen from Norway, Europe. Karu Nakamura. Not sure where he's based nowadays. Los Angeles, USA?
Hikaru?
Yeah.
Oh, Hikaru, I think still a Florida man with those orange walls, but he travels a lot. Those guys are jet setters. And rook takes b6 by Carlsen, and now he can play e takes d5 and then d takes c6, and then I think Vishy will resign.
Yeah. Viswanathan, the legend from Chennai in India.
Yeah, not the start that he had envisioned. As probably the Hikaru game is more interesting at this point, but you know, this is obviously the fan favorite. Apparently, after EDCB, White even can play bishop f6 and go for checkmate.
Coming in,
among other things, is possible and very strong.
Once again, this
takes.
This bishop on c8 and the rook on a8, they aren't really contributing much to the cause.
But he's taken on c6. I don't know why this is a brilliant move. I think it's because at the end of the line he wants to play bishop e7 and pick off the other rook.
Like DC, ED, CD, bishop e7. Yeah, that's bad news. But also white is just a piece up, right? So once the dust clears, Vishy can very much resign.
Yeah, I mean he probably has to go BC and then CD just so that he can save his rook, but Magnus has a million ways to protect him.
Yeah, which he does resign. Yeah, very secondary first round with black going down. It feels like it's 3 moves in one position.
Yeah, and I